Welcome to the Photo Flunky Show, episode 88. We have kind of a practical topic today. We're going to talk about how to attract attention to your subject. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is William Beem.
Hi, my name is Lee Beem.
And before we start talking about how to attract attention to your subject, we've got our usual little routine. I want to let you know that show notes are available at williambeem.com/episode 88, and you can get a transcript of the show there for free. Links to subscribe are going to be there, as well as on photoflunky.com. We've got a player there, so you can listen to this show or some of the others. And also, I want to let you know that I've got a discount code. If you're into Mac Fun, products like Aurora, HDR, or Luminar, which is also going to be available for Windows now, go ahead and check that out. My discount code is 10% off most products. It'll be $10 off of Luminar or Aurora HDR. And the code is just Beem, my last name, B as in boy, E-E-M. And you can get there easily. Just go to williambeem.com/macfun. Don't forget to put in the code, save some money. So that is an affiliate code. So I'll get a little bit of something if you buy, and you'll save some money if you buy, and it's a good deal for everybody. Why do you want to draw attention to your subject?
Well, your subject is your photo. If you don't have a subject, you don't have a photo. So that's a good place to start.
And you know, this actually surprised me, but there are some people that think that your photo doesn't need a subject.
No, it just needs to be stuff inside a frame.
I know. I had a theme for my blog years ago, and I really loved the way it was done. This theme was from Studio Press, and it would resize the header image, you know, whether it was on mobile or this or on a tablet or on your desktop, it would resize it. And I was having problems. I said, okay, when you're resizing it, you're changing the cropping of how the photo works. And their answer to me was, oh, we'll just choose a photo without a subject. And I said, are you kidding? I'm running a photography blog. You want me to choose a photo without a subject? A photo without a subject is
a background.
Yeah, is abstract maybe, but I didn't get it. And apparently neither did they. So yes, your photos should have a subject, an identifiable subject, something that's interesting. Even if it's abstract, something's got to be your subject.
Yeah, please.
You want to grab your viewers' attention. You want to draw them into the heart of your photo, and that's going to be your subject. The benefit you get from this is your photo won't suck. I say it sounds like in jest, but really I'm being serious.
No, it's actually true. I mean, how many times have you seen somebody snap a photo and you think, gee, that would be a great background? Okay, where's the picture? Where's the story? Where's the statement or the mood or the... Not that it's not pretty, it's just nothing.
Look, a good photo has a subject. It has a foreground, a middle, and a background. You want to add depth and dimension. There are a lot of things that you do to make your photograph look appealing to people, but somewhere in there, you're expecting to find an element, a person, whatever it may be, that's going to be your subject. And you want the photograph to highlight that subject. And if you're not doing that, then, well, your photographs, I think, are really going to suck. I mean, the world is full of photos. You know, some of them are good. Some of them come close to being good, but don't quite get there. And most of them just really suck.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. If there's a lot of snapshots that people take that they're not intending to create a work of art, they just want a memory, and that's okay. They can have better.
That doesn't suck, actually. If that's your purpose, then that does not suck.
No, and if you get the memory that you want, that's fine. It's not for anybody else but you and whoever you're going to share it with. I totally get that. That's perfect. But if you're trying to create something that is a work of art or is conveying a message or is there for some kind of use or purpose, you're going to have a subject, I hope. And it's got to be something that you can appeal to people. So there are a few ways that we've come up with, and I can't say that we invented these ways, but we just want to share them with you.
They kind of stand out as obvious to both of us. Actually, you put a list together, and then when I read the topic, I had my list, and we were right on point, even to the same order.
Yeah, these are common things. So if you've been in photography, you've probably heard some of these things before. And this is for the folks that maybe are beginning and maybe you're struggling with your composition. Maybe you just need one little pointer to help you get in the right place. We hope that this is going to assist you with that. Let's start talking about how to draw attention to your subjects.
If you've got a photo and everything's evenly exposed, that's fine. But there are always going to be brighter spots in it. That's where your eye goes. You go to the light.
The human eye is designed that it wants to go towards the brightest spot. That's why when we die, I think we go to the light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, yeah, I guess. I haven't died, so I don't know.
Well, neither have I, but think about this. If you were in a tunnel and it was dark and then there was light at the end, Where else would you go? Back into the darkness?
Well, naturally you turn towards the light, not just in photographs, but just in, in life. That's where you look. I mean, even stages and shows do that. They put a spotlight where they want you to focus and pay attention. It's to illuminate it and make it stand out. If you make something stand out by lighting it, then the lightest part is going to be where the eye goes.
And so you can do the same thing with your photos. You can do it as you're taking the photograph, or perhaps you can do it in post-processing. The idea of putting on a vignette in post-processing is to darken the edges so that your eye doesn't wander outside of the frame and it pulls you back inside. And you want that vignette not necessarily just in the center of the photo, but you want it in the center of whatever your subject is.
Yeah, but just go easy on that vignette. You can adjust feathers. I don't know, depending what program you're using, you can always adjust the feather, almost always.
Yeah, the vignette should not club you over the head.
It shouldn't look like you're literally in a tunnel with solid walls. And how much is going to depend on the photo and the exposure of the photo overall. But that's just the point I couldn't resist raising.
No, it's a good point. And the other part is, it doesn't have to happen in post-processing. If you've got a flash or a studio light, that's why we light our subjects.
Yeah, or a reflector.
Yeah, you want to put a little bit more light on someone's face or whatever your subject is. It doesn't have to be a portrait, but you want to have a bit more light on your subject than you do on the rest of your frame, because that's where you want your eye to go. After brightness, your eye goes to the sharpest part of the photo.
Yeah, so if you're out of focus and it's the brightest spot, the first thing that the viewer thinks is it's out of focus. Because that's where the eye goes, to the brightest, and then notices the focus. And then you'll naturally start searching for something sharp, so you can see what's going on.
You want to identify what's there. And one of the things that a lot of people do is to shoot with a shallow depth of field. So that way the background is a little bit blurrier and out of focus. In other words, you want to get that nice bokeh, and it really helps isolate your subject. You can do the same thing with light. You can use the fall off of light to darken the background of your subject and isolate them. But basically, what you're trying to do with both light and sharpness is distill everything else and eliminate it so that the eye naturally falls upon your subject.
Yeah.
So as much as you can, distill. Get things out of your photograph that do not matter. And sometimes that's a matter of your composition. Sometimes it's a matter of light. Sometimes it's a matter of sharpness. But putting all those together in combination really helps you make your photograph or your subject in your photograph stand out and pop. The next one that we have on here is basically opposites attract. Use contrast. Now that could be contrast like your slider for contrast, adding darks and highlights, or it could be color contrast.
Yeah, color contrast is great. I mean, I see the world with colors. I love colors. And they make me happy. They invoke some kind of mood. And that is really what I like. So colors and even textures to a degree.
And that's another good point. And I think that goes somewhat to, sharpness as well. But if you've got something that has a lot of texture in one place and it's smooth in another, you've got a form of contrast there. When I say contrast, it doesn't have to be just the contrast slider in your post-processing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be just black and white. One of the common forms of color contrast that we see, like in movie theaters, I brought this up on other podcasts, is the teal and orange kind of color contrast.
Yeah.
So you see someone's skin tone against a blue sky, and it doesn't have to be just that. I mean, when you're looking at your subjects, what are you looking at for color contrast?
I love cooler colors. And I think some of this sometimes is your personal preference. We're all, just like we drawn to different foods and flavors and have aversions to others, the same is true for colors. I mean, you speak to 100 people and you're not going to get the same top 3 choices for favorite and most disliked colors. And I tend to love the cooler colors. So anything that's leaning towards touching the warm side is going to be a secondary or tertiary color. So blues are my thing. I like the blue greens. If it's teal, it needs to be more on the green side of teal. I do prefer my cool colors, and that's just personal preference.
So when you're putting together like some of your food photography,
mm-hmm.
and you've got the natural colors, whether it's going to be lettuce or tomatoes or whatever, what are you looking for to make something stand out?
For me, it's very easy because the kind of food that I eat, you've seen my plate. I put all kinds of things together. You've got your neutrals, and often your starches are neutrals. So I usually have a base of neutral colors in there. But my fresh produce is, I've got the greens from anything that's leafy. I've got the tomatoes or maybe some red grapes. There might even be some green grapes in there and some fruit that's been cut open and is orange. I really look at the colors that I have. If I have a lot of widely varying colors, which generally I do, I will go for something neutral as my background. So I'm likely to go for something more wood, natural wood, or something in almost a gray color. It's not my first choice, but it will work. Brown. So generally warmer colors actually work for that.
I know you're right, because I remember we went to the produce market and we filled up the basket, and they've got, just a brown wicker basket, and we set it down on some dark mulch. But then popping out of that, you had all of the colors of your leafy green vegetables, your tomatoes and your peppers. And, it worked that way because the neutral colors didn't fight with your subject. They were actually made a good background for it.
Well, here's the flip side. A few weeks ago, I did some home-baked bread. And when I photographed it, now I've got a neutral color for my subject.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just got some card and some paper and various things to put some color in there. So I shot it a few times, and I shot it once with I think it was a white or a black background, but I'd put some accessories in there that had bright colors, like some little flowers or some leaves. Or I don't actually recall what it was, but things that kind of went with the theme of the bread. The yellow and the yellowish color of the butter kind of helped. But I did put some cool colors in there. And then I tried it again where I just took some paper that had a different color for a real close-up, because I think I only had a document-sized piece of card. And I tried it with a blue. And that really helped the bread stand out.
Another option I've gone with is, sometimes I'm doing a pool shoot and you've got this wonderful crystal blue color of water in a pool. You put a person in there and their skin tone is automatically going to pop out of that. And it's just a nice, wonderful way of getting a shot of somebody when you've got that clear blue water behind them. And it really makes your subject isolate and stand out.
See, nature kind of gives you colors in a color wheel. A lot of the time you can find that if you compose correctly, they will go correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's almost irrespective of the light that you're dealing with at any given time. I mean, some light is going to be better for enhancing and making them more vibrant. But nature's colors are a good place to start.
One of our next items is to develop your sense of timing. And by that, it doesn't mean that you have to be in an event where something's jumping up and down or moving all over the place at a fast speed. Sometimes a sense of timing can be as simple as which frame you select when you're shooting people just walking down the street. And if you've ever taken a number of frames of people walking, you'll notice that sometimes their legs look kind of awkward in a photo when they're frozen. If the step is going forward and the leg is straight, it's not so bad. But if they're kind of like their knee is bent, they're down a little bit, and the other foot is up a little, it looks weird, almost like they're trying to balance somehow.
I can totally relate to that. Actually, that's a really good one because, from running, you see race photos, not just my own. I see a lot of them. And sometimes you'll get a picture where somebody looks like they're almost walking, where they're sort of shuffling along the ground. But you see in the next picture that they have where they are literally airborne. And that is the difference. That is the same person. And the next frame was taken maybe a split second apart, but it was just that moment that counts.
And that moment is called the peak of action. And that's really what you're looking for with your sense of timing. You're going to make some mistakes when you're trying this out. If you're looking through your lens and your viewfinder, trying to catch that peak of motion, I think you're more likely to miss it than if you just set your camera up to the right place and watch, and then maybe have a shutter release and click it. So I've done this with models before. I've tried to have them flip their hair around and try to catch that peak. And when I'm looking through my viewfinder, it doesn't really show me what I want to see. I put my camera on a tripod, and I get a cable release, and I just watch them. And then I can see that right moment. And I don't have to think about holding and focusing and all those other things at the same time. All I've got to do is push that button.
Yes.
So you need to work on your sense of timing to catch the peak of motion, that, ultimate moment when something is almost still. And then that's when you're going to hit it. But I found the easiest way to do that, honestly, is with a tripod and a cable release.
Yes. Wonderful things.
So that's what you're looking around. And here's our last topic for the day is move around your subject.
Yeah, get different perspectives. Also, as you move around, or even tilt and shift your subject slightly, you will get different light hitting the subject. You'll get a different mood, and it changes your background. I was doing that the other day it was a still life I was shooting, and the light was pretty steady, the way I had it set up, whichever angle I came from. But I was trying to think of different crop that I needed a similar picture for, different purposes. And I actually had to move around rather than moving the things around to get the shot, moving the stuff wasn't going to get me the same result. And
No.
it's a fine line, because a lot of the time either will work. In this case, I knew, I was looking at it and thought I could just move, and I thought, no, that's not going to work.
And sometimes you can't move your subject. If you go off and shoot landscapes, the mountain is going to be where the mountain is.
Oh, how uncooperative.
If you're out shooting wildlife, the gorilla is going to be where the gorilla is.
Yes.
But the nice part about moving around is whether you go up or down or left or right, you see different perspectives and you see how the light plays on your subject. And that makes a difference. Most people will stand right in front of something and just put it in the center of the frame and click away and think, okay, I got it. But some of the most interesting photos I've seen are from perspectives that you wouldn't typically expect. You see the same thing, but from a different point of view, and that adds interest in and of itself.
Yeah, from the top, from below, from the side, through an aperture, and a sneaky angle.
Well, think
Try
about
it.
We were doing some lighting testing just about a week ago. I asked you, just to stand there. The light was just shining straight in your face, and I took a photo of you. And please don't hit me for this, but it was unremarkable.
It really was.
But
I said I didn't like it. It didn't make me look good.
But I moved around and took the same photo of you with you looking at the light. And we got, just that light from a profile with the light just on the front of your face, kind of like an edgy looking thing. And you looked up and said, I like that.
Yeah.
All that took was for me to walk, 90 degrees from one side of you to the other.
Yeah. And I just had to turn my head very slightly.
Yeah. And same thing with, I always keep you going back to Walt Disney World for my examples, don't I?
Yes.
But Cinderella Castle, the sun is going to come up on one side and it's going to go down on the other side. Depending upon where you are and the angle of light, you can take the photo straight down Main Street, but the sun is never going to be coming down Main Street or setting behind it. It's always going to be on, the left or right of it.
Yeah.
You move around and you get a nice angle where the sun is just peeking through one of those little minarets or any part of it. You just get a very different view of that castle than just looking straight down Main Street.
That's true.
But almost every photo you see is people walk down Main Street, got the picture of the castle, let's move on.
And everything's gray.
Yeah. So you can do some interesting things just by getting up and moving around your subject. Even if the light doesn't move, your subject doesn't move, that gives all the power to you to try and move around and see what you can capture.
Yes.
Thank you very much for listening to the Photo Flunky Show. We really appreciate you. You can find show notes available at williambeem.com/episode 88. And of course, you get the transcript of the show there for free. We'll also going to have links to subscribe on iTunes, Google Play Music, and others. And also, don't forget, I've got that coupon code for Mac Fun. So if you want to save some money, use the coupon code BEAM, B-E-E-M. And if you're a Windows user, well, you can also get a beta copy. I'll have links to that on the show notes page. You can get it completely free. And then later on this year, when it comes out, you can use my coupon code to save yourself some money. Thank you so much. We'll see you again next week.